Coming up on this episode, we discuss the things we like, even though we know we shouldn't. That's right, we're going to tell you our guilty pleasures. We'll indulge everyone's guilty pleasure and blow something up in the microwave. And we hear from you about why fans are so annoyed with JJ Abrams' show Revolution on this week's We Come From the Future. This episode of We Come From the Future is sponsored by Gamefly. Hello, and welcome to We Come From the Future, the show where we shamefacedly try to hide the future behind our backs in a futile attempt to keep you from seeing it. I'm Annalee Newitz.
And I'm Esther Inglis-Arkell. Today we are talking about guilty pleasures, the things we enjoy when we really don't want to, or at least don't want to admit to, or at least not yet for me. What's yours?
Well, actually, you know, a lot of people think of things like watching Glee as a guilty pleasure, but I actually do feel guilty about one of my main pleasures, which is gore movies, like torture porn movies like Hostel and Human Centipede. I loved Human Centipede, and it feels morally wrong, but at the same time, I just love films where they creatively and artistically torture people who are kind of jerkwads. Like, I don't like it when innocent people are being tortured, but when, like, the people in Human Centipede, they're such jerks, and seeing, like, jerky people get their face attached to someone's butt, I find it funny. So I don't know what's wrong with me, and don't answer that question. I can't stop watching torture porn.
Okay, mine has got to be, you know, vampires and how easily I am suckered by vampires, because I imprinted as a child on Dracula by, you know, Bram Stoker, the book, and also on Anne Rice novels.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm just like oriented towards like people sucking blood out of other people.
So do you like them for being romantic, or do you like them, like, is it a sparkly vampire thing?
Although technically I am reading Twilight in Spanish, because I know 3 verb tenses and about 1,500 words. And for Twilight, that's enough to get by.
So what's the name of Twilight in Spanish?
Crepúsculo, un amor peligroso.
I like that it has amor in the title.
It's a dangerous love.
It's honesty and everything. Yes. So I have to say, my guiltiest pleasure, beyond torture porn, beyond vampires, is Big Bang Theory. Because it is such a terrible show. The characters are all stereotypes of geeks, like they can't talk to girls, they're unable to have sex, all this kind of stuff, which is normally would be so offensive to me, and yet Penny and Sarah Farrah Fowler just steal the show for me, and I actually care about these characters. Like, I watch to find out what's going to happen to them. There's occasionally
do you
funny
watch
lines too.
For the romance?
I kind of watch for the interplay between the characters. I'm less interested in the romance, although, like everyone, I want to see Sheldon either, you know, have a satisfying asexual relationship or finally have a sexual relationship, and we'll find out, I guess. So, but yeah, I think it's just that I like, there's just, even though these characters are sort of terrible, I wanna know, like, what their next paper is going to be and what's going to happen with the robot on Mars and things like that. So.
All right.
So clearly there's some things that we all feel guilty about watching, but then there's the things we feel guilty about doing, especially when it comes to science. You'll find out what the hell I'm talking about in this week's Esther Gets Experimental.
Everyone's guilty pleasure is blowing up stuff in the microwave. Admit it, you did it, and we do it too. Now, there's no reason you can't indulge this safely.
The safest way to do it is with soap. So what we're going to do today is we're going to put this soap in the microwave and watch it turn into a giant tentacle explosion. So why does that happen? Why is it that a simple piece of soap can turn into a hideous deformed blob?
Well, this is Ivory soap, and they had a lot of commercials with Ivory soap where it's like, oh, it's so pure, it floats on water. It actually floats on water because it's got a lot of air bubbles in it, and those air bubbles have a little moisture in them. You know, they can't get all the water out, and there's some water in the soap itself. Now, the microwave heats moisture, heats water. That's how it works.
And there it is, getting bigger and grosser. Yeah. So that's just air. That's just water and air making it blow up like that.
The water is heating the air, and the air is expanding.
It looks kind of like a mushroom cloud.
Yeah, it kind of does. Or a volcano.
Or Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Yes, that is the most terrifying equivalent.
I think so too. So here's our result. It feels kind of like rubbery almost. It's really hard, and it's a little bit, you can see it's a little crumbly.
I think it's just dried out soap because a lot of the moisture has escaped.
Right.
So you can actually just like put this in a bottle, shake it up with water, and use it as body wash. I know I did that with all the test soaps that we did for this. So
that's good. So
yes.
you're not wasting the soap.
And if it crumbles in the microwave,
thoughtful.
It helps you clean the microwave. So this is clearly the trial to do.
Yeah, it also smells really intensely while it's blowing up. I should add that. There's a very strong ivory smell permeating the microwave.
It makes us feel pure.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to break this off because it really does look sort of like the very clean spawn of Cthulhu. And now, a word from our sponsor. Gamefly lets you tame your video gaming urges without breaking the bank. With plans starting at $15.95 a month, Gamefly members can rent 1 to 4 games at a time and keep them for as long as they like. Once you're done playing a game, send it back, and Gamefly will send you the next available game on your list. Gamefly stocks over 8,000 new and classic titles across all game consoles and handhelds. AAA games like Mass Effect, XCOM, and Borderlands 2. And for you PC gamers, you can play hundreds of PC games for free with unlimited PC play. You'll be spoiled for choice. We Come From The Future fans get a 15-day free trial. Just visit gamefly.com/future and sign up. So help out We Come From The Future while saving a bundle on your video game obsession. Visit gamefly.com/future. In last week's show, I was a little bit critical of JJ Abrams' new show, Revolution, and viewer Elwang wanted to chime in and offer their opinion. Revolution's primary issue is that it's doing a solid job of developing its characters, but the main one, the girl, is just not someone we care about. She's not interesting, and we know virtually nothing about her except that her dad died and she wants to save her brother. Her purpose is her entire character, and yet she lacks the pathos of, say, the Punisher or Batman, who make purpose as character a workable conceit. Revolution's secondary issue is that the science of it sucks so far. Are they really going to maintain that 15 years after a blackout, there are no trains or boats? So I actually think Revolution is getting a little bit better, although last week's episode was kind of uneven. But I think Elwang hit upon the biggest issue that most fans are having, which is the science. This is a science fiction show. If you come out of the gate with wildly implausible science, fans are going to tune out. You know, we want just a little tip of the hat to something plausible.
I think it can be implausible, but if you're going to say, like, this is how the world would be without electricity, you need to put more thought into it than that.
Yeah,
you know?
I totally agree.
I don't agree, though, about the main character not, like, necessarily needing to be an interesting character. I, for one, don't particularly think Batman's a good character, but he's surrounded by interesting people. And last night I watched the pilot of Arrow, and I don't think Oliver Queen is a particularly good character. He's kind of a terrifying blank in the show. But he's surrounded with, like, all this stuff. They put everything, like mothers and avenging sisters and, like, angry corporate, like, giants in the pilot. So I'm interested to watch for everything else in the show, you know?
I like a show that has everything in
Yes,
it, you know,
it
especially
does.
if there's a moment where suddenly everything is on the screen and, like, they're all fighting with each other and, like, it's just a mess. I love that.
It is almost certain that that will happen. Also,
All right,
there will
well-
be arrows shot through it.
Well, while we're waiting for everything with arrows, we want you to tell us what your guilty pleasures are. So write in and tell us. Email us at wecomefromthefuture@revision3.com or post a comment below. To see more of us, just search for IO9 on iTunes.
And you can subscribe to us on YouTube by clicking right here.
And we'll see you next week after all your guilty pleasures have been satisfied in the future.